Evidence. How do we know something is working? What do we mean by terms like effect, outcome, and impact? So effects are the changes that may occur because of the innovation or the intervention. It then leads into this notion of the outcomes, which are the specific and measurable effects, but in relation to the predefined objectives. An impact tells the story of the larger effects that on people, society, organizations, and on those more long-term outcomes. Evidence, when we're talking about it, it's really about building a compelling case. And that can look so very different depending on the context. Another sort of interesting point that often comes up in these conversations is quantitative better than qualitative. And it's increasingly common for evaluative research to include both in a mixed methods approach. The nature of the evidence or the data, and two concepts which are validity and reliability, and they're sometimes really useful to help us test our notions of the compelling nature of our evidence. Will you get the same results if you test it again at a different time with different people in a different context? How reliable is your process?
This data is about helping the product. It's going to do what you think it's going to do, and it's going to delight the people who are using it. When you look at seeing how well a particular product is doing at a particular time and place, many sorts of evaluations. Here are just three. There's process evaluation. It really looks at what you did along the way. There's outcome evaluation. You've talked a little bit about that before, what change has occurred relative to the outcomes. And then that impact evaluation. What we really want to focus on today is process and outcome, is really seeking to help you enrich what you do. You can also see evaluators as critical friends. People who offer different perspectives and work alongside the team. We're saying there are four facets of efficacy. The first one is process. Outcomes are not the only measure of success. Data needs to be collected about process. The next one we talked about was intended outcome. It is difficult. Qualitative data is not always generalizable. There are unintended effects. Sometimes it's not clear what was intended in the first place. Acceptability. So this is kind of this notion that user satisfaction is this real gatekeeper into other things. If people don't like it, they're not going to use it. Feasibility takes into account the cost, resources and timing, the time taken of the intervention. So the whole point about interpretation is that it is everything. Generally speaking, a data point does not speak for itself. Any piece of information about something needs to be understood within its context. What works for whom and under what circumstances? Something that works in one place will not work in another. We can't cling too closely to the formulas. So you also need to think about the differences between nations as well. Data always depends on context. This isn't about ticking boxes. This isn't going to be about collecting data that proves stuff. It's complicated.